We'll start with Christina. So what would you say the mission of the News Revenue Hub is? And also just to compare, what is the mission of Voice of San Diego, your former employer?
Yeah, so the mission of the News Revenue Hub is a work in progress. I think what's on our website is something like fortifying public trust in journalism, building reader revenue. We basically want to help newsrooms raise money so they can have the time to actually focus on reporting on the news. And if we can help do that with providing strategy and technology, then that's what we do. And at Voice of San Diego, it was to build an informed community of civically minded readers who are willing to, ask tough questions and demand answers, hold leaders accountable. So it was really tied to not just reporting on these issues, but trying to build a sense of community with the readers.
And what is the first piece of advice you usually give when you're starting to work with a newsroom that's saying, we really need help in this area?
We ask, have you ever asked for money? A lot of the times they haven't. So first we get you comfortable with the idea of asking for money. Also, do you have somebody at the top who's really going to champion a reader revenue program like membership? We take a pretty holistic approach. It's not just the development team working next to the editorial team, but really working together because it's a heavy lift for the whole organization, not just one person.
John, what do we need to most know about you and your editorial team and what you're learning at NJ Spotlight?
Yeah, quick history for those who don't know us. We were all print refugees, we call ourselves, coming from major papers in New Jersey, in my case, the Star Ledger and also the Bergen Record. That was 8 years ago, and we've grown from 3 reporters to 7, actually 9 journalists in all. One of the issues that we've learned from this experience is diversifying revenue. We've also built out, first of all, event support. In our case, we delve deep into issues, charter schools, electric vehicles, whatever it be, and we find underwriters who support that kind of discussion. And then most recently, we've grown out our individual giving largely through membership, and thanks to Christina and her team, we signed on to the News Revenue Hub, and that's really been a game changer for us. There's now a community that we represent in a lot of ways, and that's a culture change for an old reporter like myself. I mean, we sat in our newsroom. The only time we talked to our readers is when they called and complained about the paper not coming, and then we passed them off to circulation anyway, so that was easy. But now it's much more of a interchange, and I think we're better reporters and journalists for it.
Yeah. As advertising starts to fade out and you're not going to get the revenue from that as easily, are you going to need a revenue hub?
Diversifying revenue is critical. None of us can rely on one source, and that includes individual donors. We've learned the hard way when one major donor or one major foundation decides to move on, that can really take a big hit.
Everybody talks about fake news. Have you been swimming upstream with that? I feel like we really should address that.
Interestingly, it's generated support for us. So I wouldn't say we're swimming upstream. I think we're actually swimming downstream. We're nonpartisan. We provide all sides. It's more than both sides because most issues have more than 2 sides. And so by and large, it has helped us fundraise. It has helped us, get the word out. It's certainly helped us generate support.
Joanna, Borowski, I'm so delighted that you're here. I just wanted all of us to sample one arts organization, a leading arts organization, just like we have leading newsrooms here. So my question for you is, in the past decades, educational programs have grown enormously at the Orchestra. So can you give us a quick sense of the scope of those programs?
Education has certainly grown within the NJSO to the point where the education folks comprise a quarter of our administrative staff, which is a big jump from where it was 50 years ago.
So I asked Joanna, of all the many programs, 25% of their resources going on, what would be the most newsworthy? And your answer was, without hesitation, the New Jersey El Sistema Alliance.
What makes El Sistema special is really the concept that we are inspiring social change through music, taking each individual student and helping them to find within themselves grit and determination. We're in Patterson, Union City, Newark, Camden, Philadelphia, Trenton, and we bring them together, the children in the programs. And there's over 800 now who are being reached. We are finding since the program started that the children in the program, their academics are improving, their the way they relate to their peers and their teachers and their families and their communities are improving. What's really special about that, I think, is we're taking them outside of their communities and they're realizing that there's this world beyond what they know and that they can be part of the conversation. They can have agency and they're having fun while they do it. And that's really how we're connecting it on a civic level.
So this is an example of a really complex story. What would you say to a journalist as to a way to get into this story and know that there's a lot to be yielded from it?
They're building community and at a very young age through this idea of social justice and how they can change the world. And they're doing that through music.
Yeah.
My immediate reaction is you gave a very compelling story or description of how it's changed these kids' lives. And especially if you're attaching research to it, where you actually can track how it's made a difference in these lives versus kids who aren't in it. That's a big so what. So I think, be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Great.